Why someone might sell their real estate for Bitcoin. Hard to move your house, let's just say that. Brandon Gentili here. So I got a viewer question from my YouTube channel, and I'll have the video here that I put in every single time that you can go to the blog, you read there, but then the YouTube video I go through and actually explain and add nuance as well. And you can speed it up, do whatever you wish here. But I got feedback here from Jan. It said, and this was regarding a CBDC video, central bank digital currency, just for reference. Since the Sam Bankman-Fried fiasco happens, what if they monitor Bitcoin? Also, isn't it better to have your assets in real estate and some gold rather than Bitcoin? I own a $2.3 million property, which is safer than selling it and putting it into Bitcoin. And I believe he was asking a question in a way, making a comment and a question at the same time. And I said, hey, Jan, food for thought. Depends on what your definition of safe is and where a property is located, etc. Every jurisdiction is different, every locale is different, and we have to take that into account. I have rental properties, and they're in different jurisdictions. They're in different locations with different property taxes, and those keep going up. Different insurance rates, different types of residents that live in there, etc., etc. Different governments. I can't move them if I need to get out of Dodge. And this is where I think a lot of things fall apart. I truly believe the average person thinks there really isn't that bad of stuff in life that's going to happen coming up. I don't think that the Earth's going to burn up to a crisp or freeze over. However, I think there's going to be a lot of unrest. There's going to be a lot of things. We talk about this in this channel all the time, asking yourself the hard questions, digging deep, asking why, question everything with boldness, becoming independent and resilient so that we can withstand the attacks, withstand the cultural warfare, withstand the barrage of time and value and energy theft stolen from you through deflation or through inflation, and debasement. That is what we're fighting. This cultural war, this war on our conscience. That's the war being fought right now. So again, there's many people that don't think we're in a war. Many people are just completely just shocked, quite honestly, and there's living a life just kind of walking around half asleep. And as the great Jim Rohn said, if you ask the average person what they're thinking, they'd be silent, right? If you ask what they're actually thinking in their head, they'd be silent. Not like the image that comes on the screen of your mind, not what you just saw and the smell that you just thought of. What are you actually thinking? What are your higher faculties? Do you have a gut instinct anymore? Do you have that feeling in here? Do you have intuition, perception, will, imagination, reason, memory? Do you have those higher faculties? Many people have suppressed those so much in their subconscious they don't even have them anymore. They aren't even thinking. If you ask the average person what they're thinking, they would be silent. They would be speechless, I believe, as he said. However, I can take Bitcoin anywhere in the world. Also, anyone can monitor Bitcoin, and that's fine. That's a feature, not a bug, and it's auditable. Everyone can look at it. Everyone can see what's going on. It's pseudonymous, so you can see addresses. You can't exactly see who it is, but you see what's going on. So that way we can track what's being spent and where it's being spent. And there's a ledger. It's a permanent ledger forever. And the chain keeps strengthening and hardening itself, as Tomer says. It encrypted energy, encrypted armored cars that keep getting stacked one on top of each other. That's how hard the system is. And if you have, and anyone can monitor, but no one can do anything about it if you hold in cold storage. If you hold your Bitcoin, the keys, in cold storage, they can't eminent domain your digital property. No one can. Like they can your physical property. It's happened in America. It's happened to the Dutch farmers. It's happening all over the place. Someone just told a story earlier today that I heard about in the UK. Their family member, government came in and said, yep, that property is ours. Sorry, can't do that with Bitcoin. I do have a diversified portfolio in all asset classes, though. I do believe Bitcoin is the hardest money and asset humans have ever discovered, but I can't predict the future for certain. I believe there's a great chance that Bitcoin becomes world reserve asset, then eventually the global currency in the next couple decades. But I still don't have 100% of my net worth in Bitcoin, partly because I already had a portfolio built before I really started going full bore Bitcoin the last 3 years. However, I still haven't sold everything out. I thought about it. Thought about selling everything and just getting into Bitcoin because it is the fastest horse in the race. And I believe it will be the fastest horse in the race. And this is not financial advice. This is freedom advice. Uncensorable, unconfiscatable, immutable, decentralized, peer-to-peer wealth. Never before seen in history. And the network effects of that, the technologies being built on the network, It's going to blow humans away. Price is the least interesting aspect of Bitcoin. Now, if I was just starting out as a little kid, a young kid, I should say, with no prior assets, then I might go all in on Bitcoin. I probably would, because at the end of the day, what do I have to lose? We know these two things. I know the entitlements are insolvent in the next 10 years. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security here in America. And people, oh, Social Security is not entitlement, I paid in. Okay, we're going to save that debate for a different day. We're not going to go down that road right now. They're all entitlements. We're not going to go down that road. We're on the fiat Titanic, the sinking Titanic legacy inflationary system, and it's going down. Because we know the entitlements are going to zero, and we know the currency is going to zero. That Titanic, it's slowly slipping under the waves. It happens slowly, because they did it too fast. People will be able to escape. It'd be too abrupt, and they just automatically blame the politicians. But when you do it slowly, it's hard to realize what's going on. They want to trap as many people as possible. So the entitlements, again, people say, well, they're not going to go bankrupt. You're right, they're not going to go bankrupt. And we just saw it in the last election. They're going to bail out the pensions and the entitlements and all these things going on. However, it's going to be through inflation, more debasement. So you might get paid the $2,000 a month that you were owed and promised. However, a gallon of gas will be $50 a gallon or $100 a gallon. So you will end up losing more in the end. I can promise you that. That's an absolute guarantee. We've already seen the last year or two. We've already seen inflation and what's happening and what will continue happening. Because newsflash, the Fed raising rates isn't going to lower inflation. We're going to see an inflationary decade. We're going to see a lot of tumult, and we're going to see really, really insane things happen. But it doesn't have to be for you. It doesn't have to be for us if we get prepared. History, this is not me saying this. This is history has shown us this over and over. Fourth turnings, monetary switches, monetary transitions always coincide with war. They always coincide with some type of war, and usually a hot war. However, in this case, it might be more of a cultural war. It might be more civil unrest in the streets. It's going to be cyber war, bio war. It's going to be all kinds of warfare going on, and we're already seeing it in many areas. So we know these two things. I know the entitlements are insolvent in the next 10 years, and I know the currency is going to zero. What would you do? If you were 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 even, would you save for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in a currency that was going to zero? You know, because it's already lost 99% of its purchasing power in the last 100 years. It's going, and all fiats fail, historically, every single one of them. So they're going to zero, and we know entitlements are insolvent. Literally out of the government's mouth as well. So what do? You just stay inside of that and just put your head in the sand? Just slip under the waves? No, you get in the parallel system being built, the Bitcoin life raft. What other option do I have? What other option do we have? Doing the same thing over and over again would be insanity, no? Plus, on top of this, we have the ability to change the whole system politically. Military-industrial complex, gone, eradicated. All the fighting, all the government overreach, bureaucracy, rules, regulations, keeping people down, keeping people in welfare-type programs, gone. Eradicating all that. You're forcing the alignment of incentives in humans to produce and to get off their butt and be a productive human, if they can. And of course, the 1% that actually need something, not like the 20% or 30 or 40% that we know 40% of society isn't truly needy. They've just been crushed between the millstones of taxation and inflation, as the great Lenin or Stalin said. I shouldn't say the great, but the infamous Stalin, Lenin from the Soviet Union told us, right? We know how to crush capitalism and the bourgeoisie, crush them between the millstones of inflation and taxation and theft, just basically theft of the money. So direct taxation and then indirect tax through inflation, stealing your time and money. And as a reminder, it's worth a shot, no? As a reminder, I share my monthly asset allocation breakdown here. You can check out where I talk about this very issue when I'm doing it, how I'm thinking about it, my frameworks of how I allocate to my portfolio. So we talk about that once a month. I have the videos on here and I have it on my blog as well. And we have that January edition coming out in the next few days. Some of the reasons why someone might hold their wealth in Bitcoin instead of real estate. Again, this is very important. Greater liquidity. Bitcoin is more easily tradable and transferable than real estate, which can be difficult and time-consuming to sell. This makes it easier to access and use Bitcoin as a store of wealth. Lower fees. Bitcoin transactions generally have lower fees than real estate transactions, which can involve significant costs such as closing costs, broker fees, and property taxes. Number 3, greater accessibility. Bitcoin is more easily accessible to a wider range of people due to its digital nature, which makes it more convenient for those without access to traditional financial systems or the ability to own physical property. People that are unbanked can be banked. People won't let them be banked. Number 4, portability. Bitcoin can be easily stored and accessed from anywhere in the world, making it more portable than real estate, which is tied to a specific location. Number 5, greater potential for growth. Bitcoin has the potential for significant growth in value due to its limited supply and increasing demand, which makes it an attractive investment for those looking to grow their wealth over time. And Bitcoin has network effects. Real estate does not. No rental issues or residents to deal with. Bitcoin obviously has no problems while you're holding, and no evictions with Bitcoin and cold storage. 7, security. Bitcoin transactions are secured using advanced cryptography and are recorded on a decentralized public ledger known as the time chain. This provides increased security and transparency compared to traditional real estate transactions, which can be vulnerable to fraud and errors. I've experienced massive issues with wiring to traditional fiat legacy system within real estate. Insane. Can take days to wire money when it takes seconds to minutes to, at max, an hour to wire and put money and transfer on the Bitcoin network. Seconds to an hour, depending on how you send it, for fractions of a penny. 8, international compatibility. Bitcoin can be used and accepted globally, making it a useful option for individuals who need to transfer or access their wealth across borders. In contrast, real estate may be more difficult to transfer or access in certain countries or regions. Remittances are a massive deal for developing countries who get pillaged by fees historically. Massive. Nayib Bukele just wrote an article saying his country is saving $400 million in remittances. That money is staying in the country, enriching his citizens instead of that money leaving for Western Union outside the country and making his country poor just for getting sent money from family members. Absolute insanity. So at the end of the day, in culmination, why live in a system that we know is broken? We know the outcome. When we can actively be the change in the world that we want to see and build the future we want. Stay strong. If you like this, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Please share it with someone you think might get something out of it. If you don't like it, please let me know what you don't like about it, what you would like to see going forward, and how we can provide better value for you in the future. And thank you for your time. It is the most important asset we have. It's the only finite asset I know of besides Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is time and time is Bitcoin. The only smart trade I know of. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.